Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel, and I'm still on vacation, still in a hotel bathroom, but we're going to set our lineups for Week 8 of the 2022 fantasy football season across my 3 fantasy leagues. We're going to start with a redraft non-PPR league. This is a recap of Week 7. I did actually take an L. The team that I lost to got their first win of the season against me, so that is never good. But as you can see, my team outside of Rhamondre, Stevenson, and kind of Jimmy Garoppolo as a streamer didn't really do all that well. My kicker went off, but when you're bragging about that, you pretty much know things did not go your way. In this league, we are without Javonte Williams. Miles Sanders was on bye. No Kirk Cousins, so that was a rough week. Hopefully things will look up moving forward. In terms of transactions in this non-PPR redraft league, I dropped Jimmy Garoppolo because I just picked him up to stream him for 1 week. I added Van Jefferson, who was on injured reserve. I then put him on injured reserve, which then freed up a roster spot. And I also dropped Javonte 2 waivers off of IR and picked up Rachaad White. Okay, so now looking at this week, I did go against Tom Brady and Mike Evans, and I'm actually in Florida for my little family vacation, and I was able to go to this game. And it was kind of weird because I was pretty much there to see Tom Brady against the Ravens, and he threw a touchdown at the end of the game to Julio Jones, so it was cool to see a Hall of Famer throw to a Hall of Famer in real life, but it also kind of sucked for my fantasy team because before, sort of the end of that game, Brady wasn't doing too much. No touchdowns before that. Mike Evans had a nice, solid little game there. But we can only control what we can control, so we're going to do that right here, right now. Non-PPR, our record is now 4-3. We are the 6th seed in this 12-team league. We're going with Kirk Cousins against the Cardinals. That's a nice little matchup. Miles Sanders at this point is basically an every week start, especially, if you lose a guy like Javonte Williams. And I have DK Metcalf on this team who's a little banged up, so Miles Sanders is definitely in. And the matchup against the Steelers doesn't scare me. Rhamondre, I'm going to keep rolling with him. Even though Damian Harris is back, he's showing that he is a very talented player. Tyreek Hill is an auto start, and especially against Detroit, got to play him. Courtland Sutton in the London game, let's hope that works out against Jacksonville. Right now, Dalton Schultz is questionable. I'm hoping he plays because I also lost David Njoku. But if he is out, I will have to pick up a tight end and drop someone off my bench. I'm not sure who I'll drop yet, but I will comment it down below and put it in the description as well if I do make a change. And then Jonathan Taylor, it's been a slow start, but I am going to roll with him. Hopefully the quarterback change for the Colts gets something going there, but we'll see what happens. DK Metcalf, as of now, he's not in the lineup. I think I would play Courtland Sutton over him regardless, as well as all these running backs and obviously Tyreek Hill. So in this league, I think it's safe to say that DK Metcalf is pretty much just out. Last I heard is he might play. I don't know if he's going to be in a snap count. So we'll see what happens with him. Got to monitor, the news and see what the deal is with him. But Jason Meyers at kicker, I'm going to keep rolling with him. And then Patriots against the Jets. Moving forward, this is a half PPR, another redraft league. This is our auction draft league. The other one was just a standard snake draft. This was an auction draft. I am 1-6 in this league. Last week, oh my goodness, guys, I cannot get a win in this league no matter what I do. I feel like I'm cursed. I lost by less than 3 points. If you can see here, Kirk Cousins was on bye. I was deciding between Zeke and Aaron Jones all week. I went with Zeke, who had a great game, 17.7 points. Got 2 touchdowns, but Aaron Jones had 24.1. So he was better in this half PPR league. And if I would have played Aaron Jones over Zeke, I would have won. And Zeke was doing better until Aaron Jones had that really nice catch in the end zone. And that put him over Zeke for total points. Honestly, I thought about benching Jonathan Taylor, but in my head I'm like, bro, I can't not play JT. But if I would have played Aaron Jones over Jonathan Taylor, I also would have won. Outside of that, Metcalf got hurt in that game and left very early. But on the other side, Breece Hall also left early for my opponent. But the difference is he had a really long touchdown run before he left the game, whereas Metcalf only had 1.7 points for me. Speaking of narrowly losing, another tough decision in this league was Zach Ertz or Gerald Everett. I went with Zach Ertz. I went with the more, I'm not going to say talented, but the more consistently better option in the tougher matchup versus the slightly less productive player in the best possible matchup against Seattle. and I should have went with the best matchup possible. I should have played Gerald Everett because I would have had 3.7 more points, and that would have been enough to get me the win. So there were a couple things that did not go our way, but Gus Edwards was a nice little pickup for me. Obviously, I wasn't going to play him with the options I had, but he had a couple touchdowns. Looking at recent transactions in this league, you can take a look at what's going on in the league as a whole here. Herbert got traded for A.J. Brown and Jared Goff. And then I was able to trade away Ezekiel Elliott for Curtis Samuel and Dallas Goedert, and I had to drop Gerald Everett, unfortunately. But when I have Zach Ertz and now Dallas Goedert, I do not really have a need to have Gerald Everett. I tried to trade away Zach Ertz and try to make something work where I didn't have to drop one, but it just didn't work out. So Zeke was definitely a sell high candidate for me coming off that 2-touchdown game against Detroit. At this point in his career, with Tony Pollard also there, he's pretty much a 2-down back. You're hoping for a touchdown. Doesn't really seem to be making too many big plays, and he's not using the passing game as much as he used to be. So I'm glad I was able to get some value for him, even though tight end is pretty much already a position of strength for me. I still think that was a good trade to make. I also did add Wan'Dale Robinson and drop Dalton Schultz, who is another tight end that I wanted to keep. I had just picked him up, I think, last week because he was dropped. I think he'll be solid, moving forward if he can stay healthy, but it is what it is. And, those are all the transactions we made. I think I covered pretty much everything there. And this week, I'm going up against a pretty good team here, looking for my second win of the season, but Rashad Bateman already played against me, and he had a goose. I believe he left that game early with an injury, so that is a good start. But outside of quarterback, this guy's a pretty solid team, but no Njoku, no Mike Williams, no Justin Herbert, who's on bye. So yeah, we're looking pretty okay. I'm not going to say good because we're never good in this league, but for my own lineup here, we're going to be doing Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott at quarterback and Superflex. I should have mentioned this is a Superflex league and half PPR. Geno Smith, as of now, I'm playing Dak over Geno. That's another thing I might change, but Dak will not have Ezekiel Elliott. And also I did make that Zeke trade before Zeke was listed as doubtful, or maybe he's out by now. I'm not sure. But last I heard, he's probably not going to play. So I did make that trade before that injury was like, maybe he's going to miss the game. But Dak with no Zeke, they might have to throw a little bit more. Tony Pollard can catch some passes. And then Geno Smith is probably going to be either without DK Metcalf or a limited DK Metcalf. So as of now, I'm going with Dak Prescott. Jonathan Taylor, starting him obviously. Kenneth Walker, he's one of my starts of the week. He's an auto start at this point. He's been amazing, and I expect that to continue. I hope it continues. Aaron Jones against Buffalo, it's a tough matchup, but hopefully he's used in the passing game. And since I have this nice little start where Rashad Bateman for my opponent had 0 points, as of now I did put Jakobi Meyers in instead of DK Metcalf. I'm going to monitor what's going on with him. If he's on a snap count or limited, I'm not going to put him in. The only way I'll probably put Metcalf back in the lineup is if I hear that he's 100% ready to go, no limitations. But that injury was pretty bad, so I'm surprised that he even might be playing. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going with kind of the safe plays here. Brandin Cooks is questionable as well. If he doesn't play or is limited, I'm going to either put Wan'Dale or Curtis Samuel in there. I'll have to make a decision on that. Wan'Dale kind of excites me, man. Like I think in limited time he's shown that he's kind of he's one of their top options, if not their number one receiver at this point. So that's a tough one. But hopefully Brandin Cooks just plays. And then at tight end, this is another tough decision. I am going to go with Zach Ertz against Minnesota instead of Dallas Goedert against Pittsburgh. They're very close for me, but I have Dallas Goedert in another league, so I'm just going to go with Zach Ertz in this league, Dallas Goedert in the other league, and hopefully they both do great. But if Goddard has a bad game, he'll only bust in one of my leagues. If he has a great game, at least I'll get that in one league. And I think Zach Ertz is just very safe with his targets, and with no Hollywood Brown, I think it'll be him and Hopkins kind of just as those top 2 targets against my Minnesota Vikings. So now we're on to my Dynasty team. We're looking pretty okay in this league. We did get the win last week, but obviously you can see my opponent on this side Dobbins wasn't even active. He started 3 people who weren't active, and then his defense had -2. So, and then Breece Hall got injured in the game that he was playing. So, yeah, I was going to win no matter what with the way that he set his lineup. Tua didn't do great. He did all right, I guess. It was enough. Joe Mixon had a nice game. Jonathan Taylor. McCaffrey, I played him even though it was his first game with his new team. So now this week I'm hoping he's used a little bit more, or a lot more. He wasn't used that much because they just had acquired him and he just walked into the stadium and basically played. And ironically enough, I played James Robinson over, DJ Moore, over Courtland Sutton because I thought he would be safe. He didn't even get a touch. So 0 points for him. Hopkins in his first game back, we needed him, and he balled out. 10 for 103. Mike Williams had 18.1 points before leaving with an injury. He's probably going to miss some time. They are on bye this week. Chris Godwin, he continues to be just consistent and solid. Hasn't had any big performances yet, but those are probably coming. And I did have to start Kyle Pitts because Dallas Goedert was on bye, and Dalton Schultz, I didn't want to start him returning from injury. I just wanted to see how things played out with him. So, Cardinals and Bears, 17 and 10 points. Play the Chargers, who had 4, naturally. That's just how it goes sometimes. But it was nice to see DJ Moore do well. And Greg Dulcich in this Dynasty League, I got him off the waiver wire because he was dropped. So I bid like 70 out of 200 fab on him or something like that. Definitely worth it because he was a high tight end prospect, and he's kind of balling out a little bit. Transactions, I added... Well, let me see here. I did drop... Okay, so I dropped Matt Ryan, I added Jamison Crowder, and then I put Jamison Crowder on injured reserve, which then meant I had a free roster spot, and I added Jawan Johnson. He's had some good games this year, and with that banged up New Orleans receiving core and a good matchup against the Raiders, he might have another good game, and maybe I can trade him for a pick or something. We'll see. So in this league, I am going up against an undefeated 7-0 team. He is without Deebo Samuel, which is nice because in this league I did trade Deebo away to this team in return for Chase Claypool. This was obviously a while ago before we know what we know now, but at least I don't have to see Deebo ball out against me. I have had Chris Godwin play already. He was 6 for 75, 10.5 points in this half PPR league, so I will take that. Mike Williams is on bye. He's without James Conner. No Landry. No Patterson. So that's kind of the situation there. So I had to decide between Tom Brady and Tua. Tom Brady had 17.1 points, so that's a nice solid little game. I think Tua should be able to get at least around that much, but I'm hoping he has a big game against Detroit. Depends how much, he scores versus the running game. We'll see how that pans out. And then at running back and flex, this is a 2-flex league, half PPR. I'm going Miles Sanders, Jonathan Taylor, McCaffrey, and Joe Mixon. Those guys are pretty much my locks each and every week. And then at wide receiver, it's a 3-wide receiver league. I already played Godwin. I'm going with DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm going with DJ Moore over Courtland Sutton. I just like the matchup for the Panthers against Atlanta. DJ Moore actually had a good game last week, so I'm hoping he can keep that momentum rolling. And I just want to see that Broncos offense perform a little bit better. If Russell Wilson is playing, he's been dealing with some injuries and just not playing well in general. So I'm just going to go with DJ Moore. And I traded for him in the offseason. I want to use the guy, so we'll put him out there. If I'm not going to play him then right now, when am I going to play him? And then, like I said, I am going with Dallas Goedert against Pittsburgh, and the Chargers are on bye, so I am playing the Arizona Cardinals defense against my Minnesota Vikings. I don't love it, but it's a dynasty league, so there's no defenses on the waiver wire. No really tough decisions with Mike Williams on bye. Just playing DJ Moore over Courtland Sutton, and that's pretty much it. Kyle Pitts, it's not hard to sit him at this point because he's not doing anything, but I did trade for him recently in this dynasty league. I gave up, I think it was George Kittle and a first for him. It was either a first next year or 2 years from now. So I gave up quite a bit for him, but I still like him long term. So if you can buy low on him, I definitely would. And yeah, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Those are my 3 leagues. I hope we go 3-0. I don't think have we been 3-0 at any point this year? I don't think we have. But this will be the first time. Thank you guys for watching. I like doing these videos just to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on in my own leagues and give you some strategy is an insight into like how I set my lineups and trades I make and stuff like that. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.